Well, we are back once again with more legal insight from the one and only, the best, the greatest, the most amazing out there, Peterson's Law Office. Got to give him his credit, Jim.
Yes, that's Justin Peterson over there, the handsome and talented.
I have never described that way, but thank you for that.
But you get it here on the show. All right, Justin, we appreciate you being here. All right, now I was hit with a random question the other day.
Okay.
So a buddy of mine who works in insurance, he says, Caldwell, he says, could you be held liable for a misforecast or something that went really wrong in a forecast? Could somebody come back and try to get anything out of you? And I was like, are you trying to sell me a policy? That was my question.
He is, yes.
That's exactly, of course.
Okay.
But then I got to thinking, I was like, am I protected? Are there other industries like mine that are protected, or what's the deal with all that?
When we talk about civil liability, what we're talking about is when you breach your standard of care or some law, right, or some standard that's been set by administrative regulations or whatever. And you don't really have that in your world. There's no standard that says you have to get this right. And as we all know, whether people are wrong a lot of times, right?
Whoa! All right, I gotta go.
No, but there's just not a standard of care for that. So no, people understand that you're going to do your best, you're going to read the data, and then you're going to put it out there on what you predict is going to happen, right, based on the science. But no, there's absolutely no standard of care or law that says you have to get this right. If they decide to go out in the rain and get wet, no, they don't have a case. I don't see that. I don't think you need insurance for that, but maybe your buddy does.
Maybe he wants me to buy it. But there are a lot of similar things that are like my profession. That people could be tricked.
Oh, absolutely. Like engineers, lawyers, doctors, we all have standards that we are required to operate by, and if we deviate from those standards and there's some injury caused by that or some harm caused by that or a breach of contract or whatever it might be, then yes, we can be held liable as professionals for sure.
Well, I actually have a couple of questions for you, but I'm going to start off with this situation. Were you able to hear the conversation that we had earlier about the dog? Right. And so my question is, for folks, I mean, my mother's a therapist. She deals with people who are scared of dogs all the time. If someone is in a situation where they bring a dog into an establishment, but they're not a certified animal, how does that work? If it harms another person?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk about laws and standards. So there is a specific law directly on point that says the owner is what's called strictly liable if a dog injures somebody. And what strict liability means is my client who gets injured, right, doesn't have to prove that they did anything wrong or breach those standards. You're just absolutely liable, and then it's on the owner to prove that maybe the person did something to cause the injury, right? So that burden of proof shifts from the plaintiff to the dog owner. So dog owners are strictly liable. Also, there's the issue of whether the establishment might be responsible too, and a lot of that has to turn on what they knew or should have known probably at that time. If they know that this is a dog that might attack people or go after people, or they've been to this establishment before and they know there's an issue, then they probably have some responsibility as well. We do have active cases where children, one on my mind is where a child was bit by a dog at an establishment. We sued the owner. We obviously sued the business owner as well in that instance. Now, for that particular case, the dog owner, I think, is really the primary responsibility there. So it happens. It's unfortunate, but yeah, there can be liability for that for sure.
Wow.
Always great advice, and we had so much there that we're already out of time, Justin.
I know.
But you know what? They can always find Justin at justinpetersonlaw.com.
Yes, you can.
That's right. All right, buddy. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Give us a call.